On today's Success or Excuses podcast, we have Kyle Campbell. Now, Kyle, give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Introduction, where to start? I'm a fundraiser at heart. I've been doing fundraising for about 6 years now. I started at 16, 17 in high school, and I took part in a YPI initiative, which is a youth philanthropy initiative funded by the Wood Foundation. And basically you have to go away and pick a local cause in your area, do a big presentation, meet the charity, and basically dive into the cause that you want to support. So I ended up doing that. I was just like, this is just a tick box in 5th year. I was like, I have to do it, so I've done it. Ended up doing it. Really met the charity owners, really got behind the cause. I had no personal ties to the issue, but I really found that I'm actually really enjoying what I was doing. In 5th and 6th year, you're going back and forth, what do I want to do, what classes am I picking to get into university, and I was back and forth, and I always liked the idea of doing law, because my auntie was a lawyer, and she's got a big house.
It's a good enough reason, isn't it?
And I was like, I could do that, definitely, and I had the grades for it. And then I was doing this charity project, and I found myself doing the public speaking, going away and meeting people, and I emailed Nicola Sturgeon at the time, the First Minister. I was like, I'm doing this thing in my school, I'm really behind this, I think it'd be great if you could comment. And I got a lovely, bless her, I've got a lovely email from her office saying, can't help you in this cause. So I was like, what's the next thing I can do? So I went out and reached out to my local MSP, and interviewed him, and it went great, it went phenomenal, and we ended up winning the £3,000. And I just realised I absolutely fell in love with what I was doing, seeing the journey of making a difference. It was a small charity, £3,000 was massive to the amount of work they could do, and it was in Airdrie. I'm from Airdrie, and it was.
I used to live in Airdrie, but we'll talk about that later. Yes,
and it was helping people there, and it was an amazing experience, and that led on to 3 years of volunteering as a fundraising officer for them while I was at university. So firstly, I went to university, to Glasgow Uni, and I'd done ancient history, and I got there, loved history, and it was not what I thought with the ancient history would be. I thought it'd be like the Romans or the Greeks or Egypt or something like that, and I found myself
something interesting.
And then I found myself looking at old carcasses, and you could tell them what kind of meat they ate and what class system they would be in. If they were showing that they ate beef, then they were well off. If it was pig or chicken, you could tell if they were poor. I was sitting in my room because it was COVID at the time, so I was sitting in my room, just worked my arse off to get into uni, Glasgow Uni, unconditional, and I was sitting there looking at this PowerPoint slide and thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? Like, what is surely this isn't the next step. So basically had a hard think to myself. I said, this isn't for me. Left uni and took a year out. I worked at McDonald's, worked my way up to manager, because at that point McDonald's was just a 2 days a week job for me. It was just pocket money. I was going out with my pals. And I said, well, I'm going to be here for a year until I go back to the semester at the next uni. So I'm going to put my pan in, I'm going to try hard, I'm going to work my way up. I went to a crew trainer, got all my learning, got good experience, worked up way up to manager, got manager when I was 19, happy days. And then I went over to Edinburgh Uni to do law and history, because I picked that originally, and then I never went for it, so I thought it makes sense, let's give that a bash now, and it tied in the both. So I went to there, had a great time, really enjoyed first year, passed all my exams, and then I had the news just at the end of the semester that me and my girlfriend were having a baby.
Oh, here we go.
So 19-year-old, just back from Tenerife with my mates for my pal's birthday. Absolutely hungover, dying, just to find out that Alicia had been 5 weeks pregnant.
You're going to be a daddy.
Oh my God, mate. You cannot describe what I was feeling. It just felt crazy. It was almost like within over a 24-hour period, I had to sit down and rethink my full life and what I was wanting to do. And the stuff I never thought I had to think of for another 5 years, I had to think about right now. I remember Alicia was going away to Liverpool with her pal for her birthday, so she came in and stopped by my work because I was working, and she pulled up in the car park. And she was like, I'm just here to say bye. Well, I thought she was just popping over to say bye. I was like, oh, happy days, Missy stopping by the work, say bye and all that before she goes to Liverpool, because I was britting it, because they were going to go to the clubs and all that. I was like, oh, for God's sake, man.
Would she meet somebody else? I'm bumped.
And I'm like, oh, she's coming to say bye to me. So I went out to the car and she showed me the pregnancy test. And I was like, oh, fuck off, you're joking. I said, you stop in the bus and you go,
yourself.
I know. I was like, you being serious? And she's like, yeah. And it was a straight face, she had no emotions. And I was like, oh my God, we cannot. I was like, we can't do this instantly. I'm 19, cannot do this. I'm working at McDonald's. Like, how have we meant to do this? And then I'm working, I've got another 4 hours left my shift, what am I meant to do? And I walked back from it's in a retail park, I walked back for our car into the McDonald's store, and I just felt sick the full walk back to the store. Got into the lobby, my boss was out front, I was like, Stephen, I need to leave, I really need to leave. He was like, what is it? And I was like, it's a family emergency, I need to go. I didn't know what to say to him, and then I just continued to feel sick the full way out, walking to the car. And Alicia, bless her, she's probably thinking, she's the one that's pregnant, she's probably absolutely shitting herself. She's away to go to Liverpool for her pal's birthday, and then there's me meant to try and keep it all strong, and I'm absolutely spewing my ring in, walking back to the car shaking. She took me back to the house, and I didn't sleep the full night. I woke up with a massive sty, couldn't sleep a wink, and that's when I sat down and thought, right, what am I doing? What's happening? I'm at uni, what's the options with uni? What do I do? How do I tell my mum and dad? So Alicia came back that Sunday. I was at my grand's house for Easter holiday, for Easter Sunday dinner. I was sitting with my full family with this knowledge that I was going to be a dad.
Weight on your shoulders.
Oh my God. And I looked terrible because I hadn't slept, and everyone thought I was still dying for Tenerife, and everyone was asking how I'm getting on, and I'm a pure extrovert. I'm always pure like loud, and like over at my family having a wee drink, pure getting about it and all that. And I was quiet. And I wasn't talking, and I was in my head, and I was halfway through eating my grand Sunday roast, and I was still trying to think, what to do, what happens now, and Alicia texts me saying, I'm coming home early, can you come by and we can talk to my mum and my stepdad? And I was like, oh my God. And I had a good relationship with them, right? But I was like, I'm 19. I'd only been with Alicia for like 6 months at this point, but I'd fancied her for like 4 years, and it was a laughing joke with my pal group saying, oh, you'll never get with her, she'll never get her. And it's funny now because I'm like, well, I got you pregnant, you can't leave me now. But
she can, but you'll always be part of her life.
She's going to get rid of me, let's say that.
She's going to get rid of you.
That's probably a better word.
She's going to get rid of you.
And I remember my mum and dad said, can you drop me off at Alicia? She says, no worries at all, never thought anything of it. And I got into the living room, and then her mum was sitting there, and our stepdad was coming back from work with her sister, and it was almost like we had a 5-minute window to like tell her mum. I think her mum already knew, but I had a 5-minute window to prepare myself for Brian coming in, because I was shitting to see him. And I was telling her mum, and I can't even remember how it went or what was said, but she was fine. She's like, don't worry about it, it's fine, we're here, we'll support you guys. Have you thought about what you're going to do? And that was the one hardest question that we had to overcome, that everybody naturally said, what are you going to do, as if there was an option. And obviously we know what the option would have been. And to sum up, the charity that I supported through that project was a baby loss charity.
Whoa.
And
that's a twist, isn't it?
Yep.
I didn't see that one coming.
I had lots of experience, and obviously I'd been volunteering with them for about 1.5 years at that point, and I was giving up my weekends, I was working weekends with families who would have gave their arm and their leg to have a kid, who maybe had one and lost one through the pregnancy or at birth or in a later stage. And I couldn't ever think, you can't prepare yourself, you don't expect to be in a situation where that could be a plausible decision, but it was almost like, I knew in my head, well, that's not an option, but me and Alicia never spoke about it.
Right, okay.
We never sat down, it was just like, everyone kept saying, what do you need to do, what do you want to do, what do you want to do, because we never really actually went away and sat down ourselves. We just kept talking to everybody else because we were like, don't know what to do, we'll just talk to everyone else. And I think it was like maybe like 6 weeks later, and we were up in her room, and we were like, what do you think then? And she was like, well, I don't want to get rid of it. And I don't want to get rid of her. I don't want to get rid of Arla. And I was like, oh my God, near that. And we just flood of emotions and tears and relief, because I was like, this isn't happening. And end of the day, I was thinking in my head, this is Alicia's decision.
And ultimately it is.
Knowing the work I was doing, and I got really passionate about the cause, and I was like, how this is like the worst situation I could possibly be in, you know what I mean?
Because you've in your mind, you're so passionate about the cause, and and how it all came about, and you've been young and realising this is something you want to do, and all of a sudden, guess what, you're in a situation where somebody else is choosing for you.
And it was crazy. It was a whirlwind of emotions. It took me about 6 weeks to tell my mum and dad, because I just couldn't get the idea of doing it. I'm a very prepared person, so I emailed my student advisor and said, I need to come in and see you. So I got the train into Edinburgh, went up to the uni, waited in the old college, saw my student advisor, and I was like, okay mate, long story short, me and my missus are pregnant. We're having the baby. What does this work with me in uni? And I can't fault the university at all. The guy brought out a big black binder with all the redacted personal information. So he said, there's hundreds of people that have been in your situation. You can pick one of their pages, or we can write one for you. And that was just like, oh my God, amazing. Because I knew the first question that I went and told my mum and dad about it, they were like, what happens with uni? So I got all that information, I prepared the email, I screenshotted it, put it right at the front of my camera roll, and I told my mum and dad, and we went to the house. I told my sister.
What was the reaction like? I have to ask.
Oh my God. So we were up the stairs, me, Alicia, my sister,
did you
and her
do it with
boyfriend.
Alicia? Right, okay, right, so
Alicia,
together.
We went up to Rebecca's room, my twin sister. We told her and her boyfriend, and Rebecca was like, oh my God, and her boyfriend Reese has been my best mate for years, and he was freaking out more than me, because then we were like, Alicia was like, they were like saying, well, can Rebecca be pregnant then? And he was freaking out, and I was like, this isn't about you, mate. It's like, calm down. And he was starting to get really wound out, and Rebecca was like, you need to tell mum and dad. So I didn't go in with the pretense of, I'm telling mum and dad today, but Rebecca was like, you need to go down and tell mum and dad this right now. So my mum was out in the garden. She's a pure gardening freak. She was planting her bulbs and all that stuff, and I was in the kitchen. I was like, I need to talk to you. My dad's like, Jackie, come in. She's like, oh, what is it? She's covered, got gardening gloves on. She's like, what's up, bees? And Alicia was just sitting there, and I'm like that. She's like, what, are you pregnant or something? And Alicia started crying, and then she's like, oh my God. And then my dad's a pretty much happy-go-lucky guy, and he's like, don't worry about it. He was like, it's fine. A lot worse things than a baby.
Absolutely.
So that instantly calmed me down, because I look up to my dad, and I'm very similar to my dad, and I pretty much act the way he acts, and that's helped me in life so far. So as soon as I saw that like little sentence, I was like, all right, it's fine then. He said it's fine. It's not the end of the end of the world. And then it was just like, I can't really remember what happened after that. I was just like, they knew. And I was like, what about uni? And I was like, well,
look how mature I am.
I know I was trying to spin it. I was like, well, I know this might sound immature, but I'm actually prepared. So anyway, my decision was I could take a gap year for uni, which I did. So the following year, so the year that Alicia was pregnant, I sat my exams in May, I passed my exams, I had the summer off. I worked stupid amount of hours at McDonald's. I just worked my way up to manager.
Just money.
Put
as much
shit money.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't good money, but it was money coming in. I probably missed a lot, because I was working night shifts, I was working back shifts, I wasn't there for Alicia, and then it came to the decision that I was taking a backpack of clothes over to her house, and then I had no room, and then I just decided one day, like, saying, stuff this, I can't be arsed taking a backpack anymore. I just packed a suitcase. I never had an official move out date. I never said goodbye to my mum and dad. I didn't say, right, this is me moving out the house.
I'm just gone.
It wasn't a big occasion. It was just like, I was going back and forth and giving my mum my washing, and said, you know what, I'm going to get the suitcase at the loft.
Before you tell me the story, there's a couple of things I want to jump back on. So you're 19 years of age and this has happened, right? Right?
Aye.
Now that's a biggie for everybody, or anybody,
yeah,
right?
Definitely. Aye.
And there's going to be people listening to us, and they're going to be thinking, God, either they've been in a situation or they're in the situation. What do you say to them? What do you say?
In that situation?
Because you've dealt with it really maturely. Yes, you were shitting yourself and all the rest of it, but what do you say to them? Just get it off your chest, tell your mum, what is it? What do you say? Because I'm trying to picture it, and I'm like, I don't know what I would do.
Well, I can tell you, it's now just till this moment in time that I felt like, okay, we're comfortable. Not comfortable, but I've done everything I've done. All the
can only get easier.
All the planning, all the specific things that I've done to get me to this point in life today has worked. And at that moment, if you had to go back 2 years when we found out the news, I would be like, this would never happen. How can I get a house? How can I get a new job? How can I go back to uni? How can I do uni work and have a baby and save up for a house and have a social life and have time for a kid?
Listen, Kyle, there's a reason why your own success are excuses, because you didn't make excuses.
No,
you dealt with it.
Yeah.
You adjusted, you adapted, you pivoted your life, and away you went again.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
So,
I'm loving this story.
If I had to meet somebody that was the same age as me and in the same situation, I'll talk about this later on, but just before that, I went to a networking event in Lanarkshire and there was a motivational speaker. They were talking, and I remember I listened to one of the other podcasts you done, and it wasn't, nobody remembers maybe sometimes what you say, but how you felt. And
that's how you feel, how you make somebody feel.
And somebody said this specific thing that made me feel great at that moment in time, before I even found out about this situation, before that quote could be even useful. And it was, sometimes it's easier to ride the wave than swim against the tide. And I thought about that, and I actually forgot about it. But I think I wrote a LinkedIn post, and I was going back from my LinkedIn, and I realised that, and I looked back at my post, and I was saying thanks very much for the talk and stuff like that. And I said, oh, this quote really resonated with me. And I clicked that, I said, holy shit. I said, I am getting hit with an absolute tsunami right now of waves. I'm getting money waves,
so
I'm getting
do
job.
I swim against it, or do I swim with it?
Yeah. And I actually thought to myself, I'm like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try and make up barriers or try and avoid stuff. I'm like, okay, this situation's going to take me this way, so what does that path look like for me? That's going to be there, that's going to be there. Okay, put all your focus into there.
Yeah.
And I was at my job at McDonald's, so I thought to myself, I'm going to be working a lot, I'm going to be in that building a lot. So I said, I love charity stuff, I love my fundraising, how can I switch that and do it? So I thought, I was a shift manager, and I was like, okay, let me be in charge of all the charity work in the store then. And I was in charge of all the income generation for the Ronald McDonald House. So I took charge of that. I'd done all the fundraising in store, I worked with local businesses in the area and generated a lot of funding for the Ronald McDonald House over in Edinburgh. And then I said, okay, this is great, this is getting good experience for that, because I thought to myself, if I work at McDonald's for another 2 years as shift manager, when I go for the job I want, I've not done anything in my head that would value me taking that next step. So I thought,
in your head, you're thinking.
In that head. So I was like, okay, work's going to be a big part of my life over the next couple of months for obvious reasons. So I was just like, make the most of it, flip it, try and take that shift manager role and turn it into something that I can use as substance to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, great, let's get into charity work. And then the role came up for a community connections officer. So that was in charge of McDonald's. Has got a big foundation grant, and it's all the 10 pence bags that you pay for. It doesn't go to the government, doesn't go to the income, it goes to this big pot of money out of all the stores. So I started
I didn't know that.
So it's a really good initiative. Like McDonald's and the community grant. So I always used to chin people saying, I don't want a bag. I'm like, the 10 pence is going to charity, mate. It's not coming up. It's not paying my wages, it's not paying the company's wages, it's literally going to a pot of money. And one point the pot was like £250,000. So I was like, my boss found it, reached out and said, does anybody work with local charities? And I was like, me, I'm the charity guy, mate, let's do it. So we worked together, and with that charity I worked with, we got them £6,000.
Wow.
And then we got them £8,000, and then at the end of last year we got £15,000 for the Maggie Santa.
What was the name of the charity?
Baby Loss Retreat.
Baby Loss Retreat.
And then I got £15,000 for the Maggie Centre. So we handed out over £30,000 in grants to different organisations in the area, and I generated about £20,000 in fundraising within the store over the couple of years. So I found myself that just by changing the mindset, riding the wave, seeing what's actually physically going to be involved in my life, and just adapting to it, making the most of it.
Absolutely.
And I flipped that McDonald's job of being a shift manager and just running the kitchen, and I absolutely turned it into everything that I needed to land the job that I'm in now.
This is a classic example of life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, isn't it? I mean, that's an absolute, for somebody so young, by the way. I mean, I'm really impressed, right? Because I was a toe rag at 17, 18 and 19. I'm kind of in awe listening to your story for something, and hence the reason I wanted to get you on the podcast. You have been able, and I'm assuming that your parents have got to play a role in this. You've obviously
100%.
been, I need to be careful, good upbringing, somebody to look up to. Go and kind of give me some of the background, because that is a lot for somebody your age, right? To be so mature is quite unique, I would suggest.
Yeah. No, I do. I know what you mean. But in terms of my upbringing, we were born in Glasgow. My dad was from Kirkintilloch. We lived in Kirkintilloch till we were 3, and then we moved out to Caldercrooks in Airdrie. My mum was from Dundee, my dad was from Kirky, and fuck knows how we ended up Caldercrooks. But we ended up there.
Caldercrooks is just outside Airdrie.
It's a wee small village. Our house was here, the primary school was here, we had a chippy, we had a Chinese, and we had an Indian, and the brand new train station was getting built. And my dad was working in Edinburgh at the time, my mum was working in Glasgow. So in terms of starting off with a young family, that's exactly what you want, you know what I mean? But in terms of my upbringing with mum and dad, my dad like you said, I'm very similar to my dad. My dad's been very, who cares, just go on, mate. I had a hard time in school when we were younger. I was a wee smart guy with glasses that enjoyed school. And moving into a place in Caldercrooks, everybody was been there for decades. Their grands lived there, their grandpas lived there. And even had we moved there since we were 3, we were outsiders. And it felt through the school, and me and my sister got a hard time. And every time I came home, my dad said, kill them with kindness, son, kill them with kindness. If they insult you, say thank you, and they won't know what to say. And they didn't, and it worked a treat for me. And my dad couldn't give 2 bobs. He's such a, just doesn't give a fuck. He's, sometimes I think he's embarrassing, but sometimes I think he's just brilliant, man. He just doesn't care. He's just like, this is me and that's it. He doesn't really care. He enjoys himself. He loves life.
Absolutely.
He's worked hard.
I love that attitude, because I wrote I'm big on LinkedIn as well, and I wrote a post about some people will like me, some people won't. I'm alright with that. Like, I really don't give a shit. I look at myself as like probably your dad, right? I'm a good human being, right? I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm considerate, I'm loyal. If you don't like that, that's your problem, not my problem.
Exactly, you're the one losing out. If you like me, then it's a bonus, but if you don't, then what am I missing out on? It wasn't there to start with.
Right, up with the rest of the story. So Ronald McDonald's, and then I want to move on to the kind of where we are getting to today.
So even when I wasn't in the charity sector and I was at McDonald's, I was still attending network events that I used to, because when I took that gap year for uni, I ended up turning around and saying to the charity boss, I said, well, I've got free time, I'm not in university anymore, I can come and work for you. So I worked 3 days with them, and then I worked 3 days at McDonald's, sometimes 4. So sometimes I found myself working 7 days a week. Crazy, just trying to get as much money as I could as possible. But I was getting paid less money.
Has your kid been in here yet? Tell me about. So your dad at this point?
No, we're just getting.
All right, okay, we're getting there. So I'm sitting thinking, when have his dad been in?
I know the timeline. A lot happened before that. I know. I was trying to get everything in place. I know I'd done a lot, but worked for them for 3 days. Worked at McDonald's 3 days. Got good experience for them. Turned it away, launched their corporate initiative pack because we found ourselves in the city centre rather than Coatbridge Airdrie. I said, we're right on the doorstep of all these corporates, let's start engaging with businesses. Joined the Chamber of Commerce in Glasgow, networked my arse off, absolutely loved it. Even at my own time, I networked in all the same groups, because I absolutely believe in every opportunity I've been given off isn't because I've been handed it, it's because I've went out, I've met people, I've built a relationship, and I've got it on the back end of it.
Absolutely.
And I've been given saying, no, this wee guy's good, this wee guy's good, and I always say wee guy because that's what people call me, right? And I don't mind that, you know what I mean? And
it's because of your youth. You're still a young boy. It's done a lot.
And I just absolutely believe in networking and continue doing it. Still on LinkedIn, talking to these people, messaging these people. Alicia thought I was a weirdo. She thought I was crazy. Like, why are you messaging these people? Why are you going out and meeting these people? You
LinkedIn's
don't even
a brilliant platform,
isn't it? LinkedIn, it was amazing. And fast forward a couple of months, got to December. Arla was due on the 7th, and she never came. She was late. And on the 8th, about 8 in the morning, Alicia's waters broke. And a week before this, we thought our waters broke and we freaked out. We went into Wishaw. We were like, oh my God. So by the time I got to the coming of Arla, I was almost like, I've already got that out of me. Like, I've already got all that panic out of me. So I was like, okay, it's fine. We packed our bags, we got to the hospital, and we completely prepared for a natural birth the whole time. Our maternity nurse was doing that. Our midwife was like, okay, and this is natural, blah, 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 blah. That we were mental prepared for it. We got in, and the midwife was like, oh, right, okay, baby's feeling a bit weird. We're just going to get a doctor to come in. So, Alicia's like, okay, this is that. But over this whole pregnancy, I'd been working for a baby loss charity, and it was brutal. It was brutal.
I can imagine.
I want to go home.
So you must have something in the back of your mind then.
I wanted to go home and talk to Alicia about my day at work, but I couldn't. And I had supervision at work, which was great, and I spoke about how I was feeling, and I was well looked after. And it got to the point, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, what's going on here? Is everything okay? It just turned out it was a bum. They thought it was her shoulders. They thought her shoulders were about too bit soft, and it was her bum, and she'd flipped overnight. Right. So between going in, we got seen at 10. Got seen at 11, and the doctor was like, okay, we're going to have to do a C-section. So Alicia's flood of tears, freaking out, like, oh my God, I'm going to get cut open. And I'm like, okay.
By the way, I remember that feeling. My daughter was C-section, and again, we'd planned the whole natural birth. I mean, we were going to have
Because it wasn't
pools
like
and
an
all that.
option. They don't like do both. It's like we run with the one thing and
Well,
that's
do you
it.
know what though? See, I'm like you. I did a lot of research.
Yeah,
right?
looking into it all,
I
aye.
was printing off, parenting books and sleeping patterns and everything. Right, planning for Olivia coming along. And remember going to hospital. Similar situation the night before. Water's broke. But wasn't delighted enough. We had to go back the next day. Went to McDonald's and they went back in the next day. Anyway,
Fair enough,
and I remember her. Labour was induced.
Yep.
And I remember she was going. Gillian was going through labour, and it just kept going on and on,
yeah.
and on and on. And I remember reading that. And whether this is right or wrong, I'm going to say it anyway. I remember reading that nowadays C-section is almost like just C-section them.
It's
almost
it's
like
recommended. It's safer. It's safer these days.
And I'm like, no, it's better for the baby and all this stuff. Because I had really done my homework. No, it's better. And the doctor came through and says, look, we're going to really have to take her in for a C-section. I'm kind of almost arguing.
Yeah.
And he says, your daughter's heartbeat is starting to reduce. Your daughter's... Take her,
yep,
take her,
I know,
take her,
I know.
take her. And I remember that the feeling, because you're helpless.
I know.
You
can't
just
control
feel
the
like
situation,
you're literally sitting watching, and you just think to yourself, like, why? Like, I'm not in control. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to help. I'm being told my daughter's you're going to come via C-section, obviously, and you're in the room.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to your story. But I know how you feel with that.
It was crazy, and I'm trying to stay calm because I'm like, this is like major surgery. At least you're going to get cut open. She was freaking out about it. The one thing she was relieved about the full process, it wasn't going to be a C-section. And then we got in and the doctor was like, okay, we're going to have to do a cesarean section. Okay, when's that happening? Feeder will be ready in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I had to digest all that. They took Alicia away, took her in to prep her for the surgery. And okay, Dad, here's your scrubs. You go into this wee room. And I remember going into, I think it was like the doctor's locker room or something, and just getting changed.
I remember it too, by the
and
way.
I'm putting on my wee stupid hairnet and the wee cloth thing, and I was like, I realised I had odd socks on, and it was like stupid stuff like that. I was like, my daughter's going to be here and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, and I didn't know what the room it was, and I came out, it was like, I was like, oh my God, am I missing it? Like, what's happening? Arla Campbell, Alicia Campbell, Alicia Flynn, like, what's happening? Okay, it's just through here. And I remember going to the theatre, and there was about 20 people in the room, all students and all that.
Wow.
And the doctor was just like, obviously they were all learning what to do with it. We didn't know about this, obviously. And I came in, I was like, holy shit, what the hell is going on, man? And as the doctor said something like, okay, what do we do next? And then it was like a fucking choir, while these students just repeating the next step. And I was like, oh my God. And okay, right,
must have been surreal.
It was crazy.
Because I know your head spinning at this time.
And it was like a big cloth wall, and we could only see Alicia's head and like a top torso.
That's right, you
and
can't see the other
bottom
side.
is it. So she would apparently she was fully like numbed up and all that stuff. And then they said, right, we're going to start it, and she was fully getting like back and forth. I'm like, oh my God, like they're actually properly cutting into her. At least you can't see any of this. I can see this. I'm like, holy shit.
I remember this, by the way.
Oh my God. And then it was like, okay, she's here. And then we heard her crying. And then they cleaned her up and brought her here. And then I just remember the doctor was like, do you want me to take your phone and take a photo? I was like, okay. I was like, no worries, mate. I was like, the photos they're great photos, but I'm like, oh my God. And then it was like, okay, Dad, it's all done here, you can go back out. And I remember going back out, and a couple of students were going out. The guy was like, oh, thanks so much for coming. I'm like, thanks for having me. it's like
I'm the dad.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And I remember going back in, and I went back to the same room where my mother-in-law was sitting with before Alicia got took in. And I remember Linda wasn't there. I was like,
did you know you were having a girl?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, we had the gender reveal,
we never knew.
Oh, did you not?
No, never knew.
I got back to the wee room that Linda was in. I was like, where's my mother-in-law? Where is she? And then she said, just through here. And then by the time I could even get any words out to Linda, like, oh, she's here. And we hadn't confirmed the name yet to Linda. She's like, what is it? And then Alicia and Arla just came through. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, that's it. and Alicia was getting her tea and toast. Apparently everyone bigged up and saying tea and toast is great. She thought it was shit. And I was like, oh my God, your tea and toast is coming, try to tear it up. And she wasn't for having it. And I just remember Arla being there, and I don't really remember anything after that. Like,
it's a weird feeling, isn't it, when you look down at them for the first time?
Remember it. I felt like if I had to go to sleep and reimagine it, I could be there, like for every second. But having a look back on it, I just can't remember it. I can remember that wee bit.
I'm like that too. So I remember getting the scrubs. I remember being in the room. I remember them handing us the baby, because they gave the baby to me first. They gave Olivia to me first, and I'd put her down beside Gillian's face, and I says, "Oh, that's Olivia," and Gillian, my ex-wife, turned around and says, "I don't know what to say to you." I'm like, "There they are."
I know.
And I just remember holding her light and looking, and I've got a photograph of me looking at, and her eyes were wide open, and she had jet black hair.
Aye, Arla had lots of hair and all. Aye, and it's
mental though, isn't it?
And they're just so
and then
small.
The rest of the day is just boom.
It's just crazy, and
you're phoning people and telling everybody.
Yeah, because since it was so quick, we were prepared to be in there for the labour for hours. So I was like, okay, I don't want to phone my mum and dad now. And my twin sister, I was like, there's no point in them waiting in a corridor for hours. But then
you're a twin.
Aye.
Oh, so there must be touch and go with that. Wonder if I'm going to have a twin.
And I was like, oh my God, aye. Well, we might have twin grandbabies. You never know. You know what I mean? I can deal with that in a couple of decades or something. You know what I mean? And then I was like, there's no point in telling them. And we didn't realise it was going to be so quick. And then it was just like, okay, she's here now, so I FaceTime my mum and I screen recorded it on my phone, and the family group chat with my mum, my dad, my sister, and I was like, hello, and she was like, okay, what is it? And I just showed them Arla. They were like, oh my God. And then they came, Alicia's stepdad and her sister came. They all had to come in at like one bit at a time. They were sitting in the corridor, balloons, flowers and all that, and I was just everyone was just handing tons of stuff to me.
Yeah.
And I was setting up tons of stuff in Alicia's room. I had my laptop for her in case she wanted to watch her programme. I had all her pillows, her drinks, her snacks. I was like, I'm trying to like make this wee small curtain room into like a full living room for her. I was just trying to make sure it was perfect for her. And it got to like 8 o'clock. The family had to leave at 8, but Dad left at 9. And I remember I was like, okay, having to leave, and I was fine. I was saying goodbye and all that, and it wasn't until like I came out the room we were in. I came out the ward and was going that long corridor until you get to the staircase in Wishaw.
Oh, that's where my daughter was born, in Wishaw.
I just remember walking up the corridor, and I was almost like felt weird not holding Alicia's hand and looking back. I just felt like a stream of tears coming down my face, like, oh my God, I don't want to leave them. Like, they're just here. I've been waiting for this moment for ages, and I have to go. And I was like, okay, it's fine. So I went back and stayed with my mum and dad, because at this point I'd been living with Alicia and her family for all that months. And I went back and stayed at my dad's house, my mum and dad. I got a fish and chips with my dad, a bottle of red wine. We sat in the living room and watched a stupid film or something, and both passed out and fell asleep on the couch. And that was the last time I ever stayed at my mum and dad's house. And I remember waking up the next day. I was like, right, okay, let's go. We got to the hospital. I spent the morning with Alicia. She was great, she was fine. The midwives were great with her and all that. Great experience. And then it was like, okay, 12 o'clock, so she only got in. Arla was born at 5 to 12 the afternoon before, and then she got released at 12 in the afternoon the day after, because they don't keep you in anymore. They just give you like a
kick you out.
Like a kit.
Here,
like, there's all your medication, there's your injections. And Alicia's mum was a carer, so she was used to giving medication. So we were like, what the fuck? What? I was like, well, I'm going to get back in the house. I said, I don't know what to do here yet.
And then you've got all the bottles and
and the sterilising and all that.
You'll still have the bags.
Oh my God, aye. Literally, mate.
That is actually the hardest part. For me, that was the hardest part.
They do, aye.
It was making sure that the bag always had nappies and food.
Sterile bottles and milk at the right temperature.
And your kitchen was covered in baby stuff.
Yep,
covered.
Aye. Yeah, and not too many scoops in the milk. And
so did you play a big role in that kind of?
Aye, so
because I did. I played a huge role.
Arla was born. I got entitled to my 2 weeks for McDonald's. At this point, I
took 2 months off work.
Well, I was just about to say I took 2 months unpaid leave.
Okay,
because I was like, I managed to save up maybe like 1 week annual leave or something, and that took me up to like Christmas, and then maybe like just Arla was born in 8th. That took me up just before Christmas, and then my boss was like, "What do you want to do?" McDonald's was a 0-hour contract. I was like, "No chance. I don't really care about the money. I've worked my arse off to save up money. this is baby time, this is Arla time.
Absolutely,
and
totally
it was
get
the best 2 months ever. Just having that experience, it's just something I would have regretted if I didn't have that experience.
And that's why I did it too. I was working in Saudi Arabia at the time, and I said to my boss, look, work me as much as you want. I was away sometimes for 10 weeks. Like, see, during the pregnancy, I was away for like 10 weeks. I was on a 4 week on, 4 week off rotation in Saudi. It was a junior manager position I was in. So I had another guy that rotated with me. And I remember saying to him, like, just send me wherever you want. I mean, I would be flying back from Saudi, they'd be sending me to France, they'd be sending me here. Because first of all, cash to build up a big pot. And secondly, I says, when that baby comes, don't call me, don't speak to me for 2 months, because I wanted to play a really big role in her life, you know, because it's always left to the mum. I thought, that's not fair. I want to play a role.
And it was the fact that, like, I'd been living with my in-laws for like 8 months at this point. I said, I've not just went away and lived with them for 8 months then just go back to work full time when this is the best 2 full months to be in the house all the time. I'm like, it just didn't make sense.
The first few days, but they're sleeping all the time.
Oh my God. Well, I remember the first night I got in and Alicia went up to bed. I was like, you go rest, don't worry about it. And Arla was in her wee Moses basket. And at this point, any noise they make, you're like, are they alright?
Checking if they're
breathing and all that. Like, are they okay? And she was in the wee Moses basket holder, and I found myself, I stuck on Only Fools and Horses, and I watched the first 2 seasons all night, stayed up all night. The Moses basket was on my knee, fell asleep on the couch like that, and I just remember staying up all night, all day the next day, and I got to 8 o'clock and they were like, do you want to go to bed? And I was like, no, I'm not fine, it's fine, don't worry. I was pure like, it's not about me, it's fine, I can get through it. At least she's just been cut open. She's made a baby. Like, I was like, I don't need sleep. And I got to 8 o'clock and she's like, I was like, I'll maybe go out for a nap. I slept for like a day. Slept for like a full day. It was amazing. And I don't think I've had that length of sleep since
then. So is Arla a good sleeper?
She was for the first 9 months. She was great. Well, the first 6 months she was in that wee next to me grip that folds onto your bed. She struggled a wee bit when she got into her cot.
They don't like that.
No,
they're used to the closeness.
She ended up getting really bad. She's got really bad skin at the moment. She's had that for about a year. So we had to do a GP appointment every week for a year until we got referred into dermatology. So we got referred into dermatology just April there. The next step, we got put on non-dairy. We tried to give her non-dairy, that never worked, and it was, at the end of the day, it's just elimination, just taking stuff away.
Absolutely.
But it's like 3 months to take it away before it starts to kick in, so we're just in the process of doing that. After we see dermatology for a while, we'll get a paediatrician dietitian for a paediatrics dietitian to see if there's any, like, if it's food that's causing it. So she's been okay. We've just moved into our new house 3 nights ago.
Oh wow.
First family home.
We
bought it back in the start of March. We got the keys at the start of April. My father-in-law is a all-round handyman, so he's done quite a lot of the work for us, which has been a godsend. Been a massive godsend. He's been absolutely great with us, and everything got finished the weekend. I really want to get in for Father's Day, but we got the house ready for Father's Day. I managed to get back to my mother-in-law's, had a nice chilled night, and then Monday I was off, Alicia was working, and I just absolutely rattled the house. I was like, come on, let's get it done, let's get it done. And we moved in about 8:30 Monday night, and it's been great. It's been a big adjustment. There's still a couple of things we need to get, but just a really proud moment, to be honest, mate, because it's just like I just said there, it's not till recently that everything I've done over the last 2 years has now paid off, because trying to switch my work to get good experience, to get the job I want, to get more money, to go down the career path I want.
You've taken life by the scruff of the neck. This is why I wanted to bring you on, because see, when I was reading your story and I did a bit of back, I'm like, shit, this wee guy's got balls, man. Like that, like,
just go for it, mate.
I know, but it's unusual.
Yeah,
like it's that attitude is really, particularly in today's youth, right? Because it's very much today's youth, and it's no disrespect, is very much instant gratification. Right, well, you've never thought about instant gratification. At least listening to your story, it's always been a long game. It's always been, what does it lead to? You weren't looking for the instant gratification.
No, definitely.
You were always looking for what. So go and tell us. So what's next? Where are you right now, and what's next?
So right now, I've just started to be in the centre fundraiser over at Maggie's Lanarkshire, and I've landed the job. Really like the job. I got it through LinkedIn because I got really good pals with the fundraising manager.
We're looking for a charity, so we might give a chat about that.
Definitely, and kept in touch through LinkedIn. She told me about the post. I ended up going for the interview. I had to do a big presentation. Had like 3 different interviews. Interviews went really well. Got the job. Happy days. Finally managed to hand my notice into McDonald's, which was just a crazy feeling, because at that point I thought I was going to be working there till I finish uni to get a grad job and stuff like that. It's just that job was serving its purpose for that goal at the end, and it just flipped.
And it did serve its purpose.
Yeah, it did. It 100%
because you gained experience that led to where you are today.
100%, and I cannot diss the job at all. I had a great time there. My boss was amazing, and I worked with really, really great people. And it was a really surreal moment handing my notice in, because it wasn't just handing my notice in for... I went to work for McDonald's because it was a job. I started there, I was 18. It was money to... Well, I was at uni. But this job I went for was an actual job. This is what I want to do.
This is a career choice. This is
actually where I talk, and it's not just like, do you have the right to work? Can you work in a kitchen? Do you have hospitality experience? Blah, blah, blah. Anybody can say aye to that. And it was the point where they could ask me questions and I could prepare a presentation and actually say, I know what I'm talking about here. And I'm bloody good at it.
Wow.
And you know what I mean? And I know my shit.
Tell us a bit about Maggie's.
So Maggie's Cancer Centre. So it's an amazing charity. There's 8 in Scotland. It started back in 1996, and they offer practical help to anybody living with cancer and their families. So we have support groups, we have free cancer care specialists in our centre, we have 2 clinical psychologists as well. So it's a really, really great charity, and the people in Lanarkshire are just so generous, and they give back so much to the organisation, and it completely reflects back on the support they've received as well. And the building's absolutely beautiful. If you've got ever time, go to any Maggie's building. They're all architecturally designed by individuals. They're absolutely state-of-the-art buildings. They're just amazing, an amazing space, and it's a brilliant place that I can call work, and I love it. And it's just such a nice environment to sit in. And it's usually a fundraising job. You'd be up in an office somewhere in the town, and you don't really see the people you're helping, and you're not really on the front line, you know what I mean? We're based in the centre.
You're living,
you know,
and breathing,
and
the whole thing.
I'm literally seeing day to day like the support that we're doing, and that's my drive, and that links back to what I'd done back in high school. Like, that was my drive. I seen the difference when I phoned up the 2 owners of the charity. I was like, I got you the £3,000, and they were like over the moon and could see the impact. And as I went on to volunteer with them, I literally saw where that money got put, and I met the parents it was helping, and it was just like, it's just amazing feeling, and I absolutely loved it, and I loved giving back. And I done my volunteering, and I got a certificate for the First Minister for my volunteering efforts.
That's right.
The Solitaire Award, and that was amazing. It was amazing. I felt like I don't ever want anything back, but stuff like that, like, makes it.
That's your wee.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. You know what I mean? That bit of like.
What's next for Kyle? Tell me, what does that look like?
What's next? So, my aim goal, I would love to be like a CEO of a charity,
I love
or a foundation,
absolutely,
or something, or start up my own foundation or something.
By the way,
like
this is one thing I've learned in life, right? Anything's possible if you want it enough. I've got a saying, right, Kyle? If you want it enough, you'll find a way.
100%.
That's it. So we'll see you as a CEO. Now, I ask all my guests before we wrap up 3 pieces of advice that you would give somebody young. So let's say somebody's listening to this, they're maybe at uni, or they're not enjoying it, or they don't really know how to go about that ideal career, or what. Give me 3 pieces of advice as something you would recommend or give somebody who, you know, experiencing what you've been through.
Well, number 1, I'll link back to, I tell everybody this about that quote: ride the wave. Don't try and think of ways that, oh my God, this is coming my way, I need to avoid it, I don't really know what it's going to look like. Don't be scared of it. Just go with it. You can change the mechanisms in your life to suit that route. And it isn't that you're following the route you're given. You take the route you're given, and then you put your own path into it.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely what I feel like I've done with it. In terms of uni, I think in this day and age, it's not like what it used to be. I think uni's like your next logical step after school. And sometimes it is for people, depending on what career path you want to go into. I obviously done law.
For a lot of people, it's not though.
I don't want to be a lawyer. I really enjoyed the subject. I still do enjoy the subject. I don't want to dedicate 4 years of my life doing something and sitting in lectures that I don't find interesting. And any university degree comes with transferable skills. You might not go into that specific topic. You don't need to specialise in that topic. You are learning and demonstrating that you can take in a capacity of knowledge and translate
That's
it out
how I
in your
look
work.
at uni. I look at uni as you've shown a commitment that you can stick something
Yeah,
out. That's how I look at it.
It's a commitment for years. You're showing up every day, you're attending your lectures, you're putting research in, you're writing your project, you're writing your essay, you're taking in the level of knowledge. Whether that specific knowledge will help you in your future career, you're demonstrating the fact that you can take in a wealth of knowledge, regurgitate it and put it into the work that you need that you've done. So if you can do that skill, then you can transfer that into any type of knowledge that's getting thrown into you.
Third one, that's so you've given me two. What's in that?
Third
Third
is don't treat life too seriously, because I thought I had to be serious my whole life. And yes, I've made serious decisions, but at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then what's the point? And I enjoyed it. Yes, working hard was hard, but I enjoyed work. I made the most of it. I flipped it. And end of the day, it pays off. If you work hard, end of the day, if I had to say to me 2 years ago, I'd be sitting in my own house with my wee girl and Alicia.
and on James Fleming's podcast.
And on James Fleming's podcast, I'd be like, shut up, who's this guy? I can't afford the house I've just spent on my wages at Tenerife. You know what I mean? And I kid you not, it's been 24 months. It literally has only been 24 months.
And it feels like a lifetime.
And it feels like a lifetime. So, yeah, don't take life too seriously. Go with the flow, and doesn't really matter. Just go with it, and you'll end up being where you want to be. If you want to be somewhere, you will be it.
Absolutely. Love it. Okay, how does people get in contact with you? Either just to have a chat with you or to find out about your charity? How do we get in contact with you? Now, it will be on the podcast, but how do we get in contact?
If you want to reach out to me, message me on LinkedIn. All my details are on there for me, email and stuff like that. My phone number, you can ask it that. I've talked
Campbell?
Kyle Campbell. Yeah, Kyle Campbell. Talk to me about anything. I had a woman message me yesterday, wanted some advice. She's down at York about corporate fundraising. I was like, aye, no worries. I'm free at 4:30 tomorrow. If you want a phone, send me over a couple of things you want to do it. And I'm phoning her this afternoon to talk to her, see if I can help her in any way. But meet new people, talk to new people and help it away. So if I can help in any way in terms of other people in similar situations, then I'll be more than happy to.
Listen, Kyle, it's been amazing. I knew it would be amazing. It's been an amazing chat.
It's been great, mate,
been
honestly.
Amazing chat, and thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for getting me on. Cheers.